What's up, everybody? Frederick Douglass Bussey back with another whiteboard session. Here, we're going to be talking about how AI marketing will change your business. It's not what you think, or maybe it's even more, but we're going to dive a little bit deeper and show you how you can explode your business to be able to create massive success with scaling. Take your business from 10, 20,000 a month, 50,000 a month to 100K a month. Whatever you're doing, we're going to help you be able to blow that out. Let's go to work. I'm live. One of the biggest challenges that I hear a lot of people talk about when they're talking about their business is marketing. Everybody's always thinking about how can I get more customers? How can I get more leads? How can I get more people buying my products, etc. I need to be able to improve my marketing. You've also been in the marketing space, tech space, business space at all. You know a lot about AI. It's been really going crazy over the last 4 to 5 months. People are really diving into it. People are excited about things like Chat GPT and DALI and Midjourney and all of these different AI tools that allow you to be able to create content, to be able to create things so much faster, easier than ever before. It feels like a revolutionary time. But what today I want to talk about, I want to talk about AI in a different way. And I want to talk about it because there's an aspect of artificial intelligence that people aren't talking about that relates to human beings and how we can utilize this to be able to grow our businesses more. And it's been hiding in plain sight. It's actually a very ancient secret, but it's coming forward in a very relevant way. First of all, if you're watching this, give me a comment where you're watching from. Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Let me know what you're watching. If you follow us along, drop a comment and let me know what you're discovering from this conversation. If you have questions, I'm happy to talk about that as well. Give us a little bit more context for what you're experiencing or discovering through this conversation. All right. That being said, let's talk a little bit about what AI actually is, right? And the reason I want to do that is because I want to tie it into what we're going to be talking about with human AI and marketing, right? So AI essentially is, right, stands for artificial intelligence, right? Now, the reason why this is important is because this means that this artificial part right here is a simulation of human intelligence, right? The way that we assimilate information. And the way that it works is in a simplified model. I was looking to try to, as I was kind of studying this, trying to figure out how to break it down. There are many complex diagrams that talk about how it actually works. But essentially what it is this, right? So you have text that inputs into the AI that spits out an interpretation of what it is that you want. So that could be data, it could be a picture, it could be whatever the case may be. But it's basically running it through an algorithm that is assimilating all these other data points and resources that's allowing it to be able to create an interpretation of what you want. This is why when you put in a text prompt, it will generate a different idea every time you hit regenerate, right? Because it is assimilating and it's trying to approximate exactly what you're saying. Now, there's a reason why this is so important. The reason why this is so important is because obviously it's able to spit these things out at a high rate. So you can literally create entire documents. People are writing books, articles, blogs, entire content documents in terms of all the things they want to be able to do, schedules. Whatever you're able to do, it's able to replicate it because it's a machine and it's able to print these things faster because it's assimilating all these things together. It's like putting together different puzzles. The problem with AI right now is that it's still learning, right? And so it's always learning. And then it's adaptive, but it has to learn based on what you are putting into it, right? So it's adapting to you as well as assimilating the learning that it's gaining in terms of knowledge and data sets from millions and millions of people. So millions of people are putting these prompts into this machine, this algorithm, and it's churning it together and it's trying to learn and assimilate. Now, here's the thing about this, right? Actually, I want to use a biblical example, for example. Um, in the Bible, it talks about the Tower of Babel, right? And the Tower of Babel is basically when all human languages began to get split up in all these different dialects and different aspects of language. So people speaking French, Spanish, all these other Greek, Hindu, whatever the case may be. So that's the origin story of all the different languages, if you will. Whatever you believe about that, we understand that there are all these different languages, Latin, Greek, Hebrew, Italian, that all have different meanings to different words for the same thing. And so essentially what we're trying to do is, as human beings, we're always trying to assemble an understanding of what something means. So meaning and language are related. Language is how we create meaning or interpret what things mean. Now, when you are using an artificial version of that, what you're doing is you're trying to interpret, use a machine to interpret what human beings are using to interpret in terms of their understanding. And so while AI is incredibly fast and incredibly productive, at the same time, one of the flaws it has is that it is interpreting a human aspect of communication. Here's the other part of it, right? So you have language. Let me put it this way, all right? So when you are marketing to people, you are trying to communicate an idea to them. You're trying to influence them in a particular way. Remember, in our scalosity model, right? Influence is one of the three pillars that we talk about, is mindset, influence, and leverage. So influence is one of the ways you want to be able to create or connect with people or communicate with them, right? And so communication is built up of different things, right? So it's language, it's context, right? And I'll explain that. And then it's subtext, right? And then there are other factors that deal into it as well. Let's just talk about these three things right here first. Language is the actual words that we're using, right? What we're saying, right? The context is the environment in which we're saying it. When you're singing happy birthday to someone at a birthday party, that's great, right? But remember all the Zoom parties that we had during the pandemic, right? In that case, whereas when you're in a birthday party and you're singing happy birthday to people in person, it can feel very different than if you're singing it on Zoom, where you're getting these different connections and it's coming in spotty. So the same way that singing happy birthday in a birthday party where people are all connected in person can feel amazing, can actually feel bittersweet or even sad when you are on a Zoom call where people cannot be connected in person, right? So sometimes the same things that can make you laugh can make you cry, right? And so that can be the context and creates the subtext for what we're talking about, right? The subtext is the things that go unsaid, the things that are underneath, right? So the disconnectedness that people feel. And that's the emotion that people are dealing with on that continual level, right? Shouts out to those of you on Facebook. If you're watching this on Facebook, make sure you let StreamYard show your name so I can see who you are, because otherwise I can't see your comment, see your name until I actually log off and look at the video. So I'll respond to you there as well. But I appreciate you showing up, and drop a comment below if you understand what I'm saying about the context, subtext, and language, right? So all these different aspects of communication are important. But here's the thing about communication. And I like to say this to my clients when I'm talking, everything communicates, right? So there's always a context and there's a subtext, but then there's a larger just aspect of communication that shows, right? So just the fact that if, for instance, a man is talking to a woman in an office building, right? There is a subtext, there is a aspect of communication that goes there. There's body language, right? And so there's appropriate body language or inappropriate body language. There is the emphasis on certain words. There is the eye contact or lack of eye contact. There is body odor and scents. There are sounds and whether or not your voice is weak or soft. You can say the same thing very loud, or you could whisper it very softly, and it can make a person feel different things. So everything communicates. And this is why we're going to start talking about AI. There's a different sort of AI that we want to talk about when it comes to marketing. And marketing and creating influence in terms of being able to gain more customers and clients and grow your brand, right? And so just like you're essentially running your text or your prompts through a filter with AI to be able to come out with an output, your desired document or context or whatever the case may be. The thing that you get to understand is that if everything communicates, then there are multiple filters of communication for human language, right? And there are multiple filters for human language and human communication. That means that your marketing is running through multiple things. And so when people really try to simplify it and say, hey, you're just one funnel away. Hey, all you need to do is just run it through AI and just have it do all your copywriting for you, or just create these posts on Facebook or TikTok or whatever the case may be. There are many different reasons why some things can be successful or not. And they're not always predictive, because at any given point, when you deploy a communication from one point to another, in other words, when you send a message, when you put up an ad, when you put up a post, when you create content that is designed to attract people to your product or your service, your company, you are essentially running it through a filter that a lot of times you don't have any control over. Here is the thing, though. There is one thing you can do to be able to add more control to get better results through that algorithm, the human algorithm. And I want to talk about what that thing is. So we talked about artificial intelligence, right? So AI, or artificial intelligence, right? Versus AU, right? And when I say AU, it's really AUI, but we call it AU for short, and I'm going to tell you why in a second. AU stands for authentic intelligence. And here's why that's so important. The reason why any marketing, any influence is going to be most effective is when it feels most authentic. I remember I was watching a Netflix show, and it was actually a comedian, and she was talking about how they had created an Android version of her, right? So it's basically a robot with some artificial intelligence. It looked just like her, etc. But the designer of the Android was talking about one of the things that they had to do was that they had to make sure that the eyes weren't too perfect. Like, they had to actually make the robot less symmetrical, because one of the things about human beings is that the reason why we feel off put or even scared or creeped out by androids is because when they build them perfectly symmetrical, and yet human beings are not perfectly symmetrical. In fact, some of the most beautiful people have slight asymmetry, right? So it's not that your eyes aren't perfectly set aside on the same side, your teeth aren't perfectly set, your lips, everything about you, right? There's slightly almost deformities that make us human, right? And these are the things that put us at ease when we see people, because we know, oh, this is a real live human being. And so there are things that happen when we are reading AI text, AI generated text, things of that nature, that tell us that there's not really a human being behind us that wrote this. Even when human beings write things that are too perfect, we actually remove the humanity or the authenticity away from it. And that keeps your content, your message, from connecting with people as powerfully as it possibly could. So here's the thing. This is why I call it AUI, right? Authentic intelligence. Authentic intelligence is more powerful because what it does is it actually connects human to human. And that's a more powerful way of being able to generate a connection, to be able to generate clients, leads, whatever the case may be. On a deeper level, it's what really moves the world. It's what allows you to build a community, to build a brand, to be able to push your product or your company forward. So as you're doing that, you're able to attach other people to you, that it becomes this referral factor, if you will, that allows people to say, I want to refer you because this is something that's real, it's genuine. And when we do that, what we're actually doing is we're saying, hey, look at me, I'm authentic, I'm genuine, I'm passing something on that is valuable to you. And people value that as social currency. And so if you want to be able to become more valuable as a company or a brand, you have to be able to use AUI, authentic intelligence, versus AI. Now, here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with using AI. In fact, it is transformative for people's productivity, for creativity. There's a lot of different ways you can use into it. And we'll probably do some videos where we talk about that. If you haven't already watched 100,000 videos on it as it goes. But one of the things I want you to understand is that if you don't have this nailed down, this won't help you. This will make you faster, but it won't make you more effective, because until you understand the key to really being able to connect this, right? And so we talked about it earlier, everything communicates. But the key to communication is that there's 2 points that have to be connected, and that is the sender and that is the listener, right? Communications 101. There's a message in between. So you got 2 people. Let's just call these human beings because they have mouths, right? Right? All right. So, and they are connecting and talking to one another, right? Now, that's the message. This is the sender, and this is the listener, right? Here's what happens. When you are building a company, typically you see yourself as this way. I'm sending a message about my brand or my company to the listener, the audience, the person that I want to buy my product or service. And so what we do is we do a lot of this, a lot of talking. So eventually what happens is the listener turns us off, right? They don't even get the message because they can't hear what we're talking about. They don't care, it isn't relevant, or they just don't believe you because, especially when you're using a lot of this, artificial intelligence instead of AUI, authentic intelligence, it doesn't resonate as real to them. It pushes them away. It makes them feel like this isn't for me, or you're not real, or you're not good enough, or whatever the case may be. Here's what we're going to do instead. What we want to do is we want to reverse the process. And so now we want to actually take on the feedback. We want to hear what they're saying. Because when you can start to listen, right, using your ears, when you can start to actually listen and hear those messages, and it translates to you in a powerful way, it's coming in your ear, right? What are you able to do? Now you're able to take what you've heard and regenerate it to them. And this comes out in people's values. It comes out in their dreams and their hopes and their wishes. It comes out in the things that they care about, their fears, et cetera, et cetera. We talk more about this in story graphics. The part of the module where we're talking influence, about how you can build this model to be able to connect with your audience more authentically and more powerfully, right? Story graphics is really a deep dive into what that all means and how you can unpack that in a way that allows your messaging to be much more effective and more powerful over time, right? So using your AUI makes you a better listener. And the thing about using it is when you use it correctly, which amazingly huge brands have a big problem doing this, right? Because they think it's just about the data. It's not just about how the volume of what people are saying. It's not just about measuring what they're doing. We talk about that in story graphics too. But ultimately, the reason why people know that you are authentic is because your communication reflects the asymmetry of humanity. Human beings are asymmetrical by nature. We are either right hand dominant or left hand dominant. We are our right ear is a little bit bigger than our left ear. We like to sleep on our left side versus our right, whatever the case may be. So there are different things about us that are quirky, and there are things about us that remain unsaid, things that we don't want to reveal about ourselves. But when they are said back to us in a way that would allow us to understand it, makes us feel that you understand us more. It builds more trust, more authority, and you feel more authentically connected to that brand or that company, right? So this is the reason why if you are using AUI, authentic intelligence, versus AI, artificial intelligence, you are going to be far more effective with your marketing, your branding, and ultimately growing your company. Here's the last reason why I love using this AUI. Maybe some of you science majors know it, But AU is the periodic table symbol for gold. And so, if you want to get the gold, you need to know the right symbols, communicate authentically, period. Thank you, Ruthet. Ruthet's Botanicals. She had a comment, what's lost in the buffering or delay? What's lost in communication? Hard to make communication through disconnect. Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. There is that aspect of it, right? When you're trying to transmit something distantly, whether it's wirelessly or whatever. So even when we're singing happy birthday to one another, what's lost in that communication is the instantaneousness of having all those voices join together to be able to sing happy birthday. It communicates love. And when we're communicating love to one another, there is a unison that is necessary. Happens in every possible way, whether it's singing, music, dance. You notice that a lot of the highest forms of communication that people really are attracted to, the things that go viral in terms of videos, are the things that show unison, right? That when we have this connection together with one another, it makes us feel more human, more loved, like we belong and we are a part of something that is bigger than us. And like I said, everything communicates. And so even those subtle things can be distractions that will help the message get lost. Use your AUI for better use of the AI. Word twofold message today. All right. Good stuff. Hopefully that's been helpful for you guys. I probably went a little deeper than I anticipated going, but I wanted to be able to kind of break this down because I've been thinking about this for a while. Hopefully it's valuable for you. Let me know in the comments what you're discovering from this. If you're watching on replay, hashtag replay. Drop that down below and let me know what you found, if you have any questions or whatever. And as always, if you would like support in growing your business to be able to achieve the true authentic intelligence, AUI, to be able to achieve what's possible by scaling your business and growing your revenue and being able to connect more deeply, create more freedom and impact through your business, then send us a message, reach out, drop a comment below, and let us know how we might be able to support you. Let's maybe book a call and see if it's a good fit to be able to connect and work together as well. All right. That being said, I appreciate all of you stopping by for a second, a minute, or even the whole video. And I will see you on the next go round. As always, my name is Frederick Douglass Bussey. Ever forward.